How's everyone doing?
Hi, and welcome to our first ever United MUFON meeting. I'm so glad that you're all here with us tonight. This is just great. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you for the overwhelming response that we had to the invitation. Wow, well over 300 and some odd people. So the winds of positive change are upon us here at MUFON, and I've been tenacious, literally, about getting this meeting together for the last 4 years. And finally, here we are. I'm very grateful that we have so many people here, and we've got great expectations for this new MUFON meeting, and it's a new format. So hopefully we won't have any technical glitches or difficulties tonight, because we all love technology when it works. And hey, we've got a super new moon out there in the sky tonight to kick us off right. So the moon is at its closest approach right now to Earth all month, and it's just simply beautiful out there. Last night was actually the full moon. And so get out there tonight after the meeting and do some sky watching, because it just doesn't get any better than that, you know, and you never know what else you might see. So don't forget your cameras or maybe a cell phone, okay? So just a quick note to mention before we get started. Please keep your microphones muted until the end of our roundtable discussion, which will be coming up here at the end of today's presentation. And that'll help us out here quite a bit, really. So I'm your host tonight. My name is Terry Lynn Keel, and I'm the Director of Memberships and a MUFON member for the past 11 years. And it's my passion, literally, to bring truth to the forefront of ufology. And it's the reason I believe I was led here to MUFON. I've found that MUFON has a wonderful group of dedicated, passionate, and committed officials to work with you and guide your success as you become a certified field investigator, or a state section director, an assistant state director, a chief investigator, or a state director. These appointments within MUFON are promotions that are earned through hard work and dedication. And I would like to acknowledge and send out a special note of appreciation to David McDonald, our executive director, who always goes above and beyond for MUFON and everything that he does, literally, as well as Ken St. John, our chief operating officer, amazing man, never stops working. Doug Wilson, our MUFON chief investigator, he is so wonderful, easily spoken to, very approachable guy, wonderful. Steve Hudgens, our international director in investigations, he's been working with MUFON a very long time. Marketa Klimova, our office manager, she's amazing. And Barbara Schusler-Sobani, our amazing journal editor. We're also very proud of the wonderful work that she's doing. And the MUFON journal is just amazing anymore. Have you taken a look at yours lately? It's a great read. It's so improved. It takes a lot of really fiercely loyal folks to fly the MUFON banner here. So I would also like to congratulate all our newly appointed certified field investigators and new MUFON appointees, as well as all the other state officials. We are just elated to see all the new members and growth here at MUFON. Seriously, we are. They're keeping us a strong and resilient organization dedicated to the benefit of humanity. Thank you also very much for your support and all that you do. You are truly the best. I wish I had time to mention every one of you by name, especially our astounding certified field investigators, which we have quite a few, but they are the unsung heroes of MUFON for sure. All of these folks volunteer their time, energy, and finances to help humanity grasp what is happening in ufology in the 21st century. And that's no small thing. They research case after case with the scientific method and work diligently to come to conclusions about all the witness-reported documentation that gets submitted to the CMS. That's the case management system. MUFON investigators have been doing all of this for the past 51 years. We are immensely proud of all of our volunteers. They are the undeniable backbone of MUFON, and I applaud you all. Thank you so very much for your hard work. It really is very much noticed by all of us. A real desire of mine has always been to reach out to introduce MUFON to those who haven't yet heard of us before. That's really very important to me. And this is my reason for meeting here tonight. Even if you're not a member yet, you are always welcome here at this meeting, and we'll be doing this every month. I know it's sometimes difficult for non-members and members alike to get to a local chapter meeting due to the current COVID issues and restrictions we're all facing. And some states don't have local state directors in them right now who can hold local meetings. We're always looking for people to fill those positions. So let me know if you're interested. And that's also why I'm here. Like I said before, you don't have to be a member to join us here each month, but I would sure love to have you sign up and become a valued member and be a part of MUFON. There are so many interesting paradigms right now in the world of UFO research, which are constantly changing, even as we speak. And MUFON has so much to offer all of us. So we have a lot of ground to cover and discuss, from our enlightening journal to our amazing symposiums. We've got a wonderful bookstore and a lot of strange case encounters. We have MUFON TV and the subscription to it, UFO Tech Notes, MUFON merchandise, one-on-one interviews, continuous training programs, UFO Tech Notes, one-on-one, local, Zoom, and United MUFON meeting, to name a few, right? And there's also the Mater updates. So there's so much going on, and it's really very interesting. So pick up your journal. And we've also got podcasts going on as well. There's something for everybody here at MUFON, joining like-minded folks who feel the same way you do. So MUFON members, if you do have a state meeting, please support your state directors and attend those meetings if you can. Many state directors are holding Zoom or Skype meetings in their states. Contact your state director for information about their meetings, or you can go to MUFON.com, where some meetings are actually listed in the MUFON newsletter and the MUFON journal as well under MUFON minutes. If you don't get the journal or the newsletter, you can sign up to receive them both at MUFON.com. The newsletter is a free email publication, so make sure you sign up for yours today. We all love free. State directors, if you'd like your meetings posted in the MUFON journal, please contact HQ@MUFON.com. Attention, Marquetta. She'll post everything that's important about your meeting, the times and all of that. So she'll take good care of you. Get that to her. Now, her deadline for posting your meetings will be the 9th of every single month. So please make a note of that, okay? You want to get it in on time. Our next United MUFON meeting dates for the rest of this year are November 21st and December 19th. And you can find that information and register for these meetings at MUFONmeetings.com. I always keep the meeting at 7 p.m. Central Time. I'm in the Central Zone, so you can just update as wherever you are. We have seats available, live seats, for 100 people in our live group so that you can interact with us. So sign in early. And remember, first come, first serve the day of the meeting. So doesn't matter how you sign in. It's on the day of the meeting at the 7 o'clock hour. You just come on in, and then we've got 100 seats available. So you'd be able then to get on board, and at the end we will take some questions and things like that, okay? For the rest of them, they'll go into the live stream, okay? So each month I'll present MUFON stats, an interesting MUFON case, answer some of the questions you've sent me, because I've been getting a lot of questions sent to me, and I've been making note of each one of them, and also do an engaging case presentation or invite a fascinating guest speaker. And I always want a riveting roundtable discussion at the end of each meeting. Send me your comments on what you'd like to hear or who you would like to have as a guest speaker. This is your meeting, actually. I'm your host, and I really want to hear from you, what you want. Also, if you've had a personal experience that you'd like to share with us, you can upload your story to MUFON.com. We'd love to hear what happened to you, and nothing is too bizarre. So I know that sometimes these experiences can be very difficult to share, sometimes embarrassing. You know, you don't want too many people to get out, but we don't share that kind of information. So you can trust us here. And we would like to hear what happened to you. And once your experience is reported, a certified field investigator will contact you to research your case. So for tonight's meeting, we'll discuss who we are and what we do. I'll share a recent noteworthy case, look at the MUFON stats, discuss a little MUFON business, of course, and I'll share one of my life-changing experiences that happened to me while I was living in Florida, and ultimately led me to MUFON 29 years later. I'll take as many questions after the presentation as we have time for. I'll try to be quick. I know I'm going through all of my notes really quickly, but I just want to get through everything so you have all the information you need and we can move on. So you can ask your questions in the chat bar. It's being monitored by one of my devoted staff. Thank you, Kevin. And with all that being said, let's get started. So what is MUFON? MUFON, as you know, is the Mutual UFO Network, established in 1969. And we are the largest and oldest UFO investigative organization in the world, with a huge member base adding to it daily, represented in all 50 states and 40 countries, with thousands of trained volunteer field investigators and over 50 PhD consultants in most disciplines. MUFON actually conducts scientific investigations of the UFO phenomenon, while others are just UFO reporting agencies. And how do we actually investigate? People ask us that all the time. Well, we use computer science, we use biology, astronomy, physics, chemistry, geology, some engineering, and statistics. That is the scientific method. And everybody is taught as a certified field investigator to use that. Our mission statement, these are the words that inspire each and every one of us every single day because they're our goals. We investigate UFO sightings, abductions, and entity cases, promote research on UFOs with an eye toward science, educate the public on the UFO phenomenon, and that's what we're doing here tonight. So our board of directors are John Schuessler. He is one of the originals, just an amazing founding member. And all of this started in his garage a long time ago. He and Kathy were diligent, and we're very proud of what they started. And here we are 51 years later. David McDonald, he's our executive director. I couldn't say enough nice about him. He is just an amazing person with real drive, and we're glad to have him. Tom Whitmore and myself, Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Rob Switek, and Richard Beckwith. Some fun facts about MUFON. We were established in 1969, and for the past 51 years, MUFON has compiled a database of over 150,000 UFO reports. In 2006, MUFON developed the CMS, which is known to all of us as the case management system. As MUFON has evolved, we now monitor abductions and entity cases. Of all the UFO reports received, approximately 15% are actual real UFOs or solid objects. The others are misidentifications, optical illusions, stars, planets, sometimes hoaxes, unfortunately, and hallucinations. But what about those remaining 15%? That's what we're doing here. That is what we're all about. That's the reason for MUFON's existence. So like I said earlier, we want to hear your story. You're not alone, and no experience is too bizarre, honestly. We have an experiencer research team that we're very proud of, the ERT. They're dedicated to helping experiencers of alien contact. And director George Medich is willing to listen to anything that you have to share with him. Take the first step towards understanding by completing the short experiencer questionnaire at MUFON.com, experiencer questionnaire. By doing so, you can confidentially share your experience with someone who can help you to find answers. A little bit of MUFON business now. As MUFON's Director of Membership, I invite you to join MUFON today. I can't tell you what a blessing it is, how great it's been for me. It has changed my life. MUFON members will receive either an electronic or hard copy monthly journal. Our journals include articles by leading ufologists, UFO sighting reports, abduction cases, mutilations and crop circles, just to name a few. But the symposium and all other information is within that. And I'm telling you, it's worth every penny. So for only $59.88, you can get the electronic copy for the whole year. So log on to MUFON.com. We also offer, and you can upgrade your MUFON membership to include MUFON TV. It's only $119.88 for a whole year and $9.99 a month. It includes live stream to the MUFON Symposium. So just consider, if you haven't been able to get to a symposium, look at the money that you would be saving, an airfare and the food that you would be eating, or the rental of a car, or perhaps your hotel room and all of this. So for $119 for the whole year, you're getting all of that live streamed to you. And you just can't ask for a better, deal than that. It's just amazing. So please sign up. And if you've got an experience, like I said earlier, that you'd like to share with us, please go to MUFON.com and report your experience. We appreciate that. Those stats are really, really interesting for us. MUFON has a 51st annual symposium coming up, on July 23rd through the 25th of 2021. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do 2020 with COVID and all the different restrictions, so we've moved everything forward to our 51st annual symposium in Las Vegas, Nevada. So we hope that you can make that. In February, we'll be signing people up for that. So I look forward to seeing you there. And the ultimate MUFON live stream event, which will be to investigate at mufonsymposium.com. Join our team if you'd like to become a field investigator. And I can tell you, it will change your life. There is so many facets to being a field investigator that just change everything about what you thought you knew. And it's wonderful to be able to work with people who really need somebody to talk to and help them understand what happened to them. So please join us and then look into becoming a field investigator. It's very, very rewarding. I was telling you earlier as well that we do have the MUFON store, and this is our online store, MUFON.com. There's a drop-down box for you to look at the different things that we offer for you with our MUFON branding and label. So there's just so much going on. So our next meeting will be November 21st here at United MUFON and December 19th. And you would register at MUFONmeetings.com. So are you curious? MUFON UFO sighting stats for December 2020? Unfortunately, there was a paper that I dropped. And that was the paper with the stats. So I have to apologize to you because I don't have that with me right now. So I'm going to have to move to doing the stats next time. As I was running down the steps to get here, I was a little bit late. So it's my fault, my bad, and I apologize. So I will do the stats next time. But you can get them online at MUFON.com. Sorry about that. So today's presentation and our topic is the incident in St. Pete. This is something that I experienced in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I just want you to know that it's always really something when I have to get into sharing all of this because there's so much involved with it. But this is what happened to me, and I'd like to share it with you. Okay. Well, it was 1979, and I was working in a city called Clearwater, Florida. I lived in St. Petersburg at the time, and I got off about 2 o'clock every night. I was working a night shift because I had 2 little boys at home, and my husband worked a day shift, so we didn't have to get anybody in to watch the children. And so as hard as that was on, everything, we made it work. And I was driving a little Honda Civic, and it was about 2:10 or something when I finally got out of work and I started driving home. And I was going pretty quick because I did want to get home. I was tired and I knew I had the boys to, get up with early in the morning. So I was going pretty quick. And as I was pulling down 28th Street North, I approached this. Well, originally, I didn't know it was a craft because I didn't believe at all in anything like this. I just didn't believe that there was actually UFOs and aliens on the planet with us. It was really the farthest thing from my mind, and I truly thought it was comic book entertainment. So when I saw this, it was incredibly hard for me to wrap my mind around what exactly I was seeing. It was very difficult for me. But I saw underneath this, hovering over the railroad track as I was coming closer to it, and I kept trying to think to myself, what could that be? It's not a train. It's hovering. It's not attached to anything. So, here I am approaching this, and then all of a sudden, while my mind is going through all these different things, my car shuts off. It just shuts off. And now I'm just rolling, and my hands are on the steering wheel, and I thought to myself, what the heck? How could this be? That looks like those UFOs people talk about. And so, I'm not very far from this thing. I'm under 200 feet from it, and the car comes to a stop, and I'm just staring at it through my windshield. And I thought to myself, whatever you do, Terry, don't get out of the car. And the second I said that, it was like something took over me. And I mean, there wasn't fear really, but it was just like I was in shock. And my hand went right for the door handle, and I immediately got out of the car. And I thought, what am I doing getting out of the car? This is nuts. I just, don't get out of the car. And this was a creation of the craft that I witnessed at 2:15 at this exact location on 28th Street North. And it was many, many years later reported, 29 years later reported as case number 9922, which I submitted in 2008. Now, as I was standing there looking at this craft, I just couldn't believe how amazing it was. It almost was like it was alive. And, here's 100% unbeliever. I don't believe in this kind of thing at all. So I'm staring at it, and I feel like I'm almost communicating with it because the fear level was low, very low. I had gotten out of the car, and I thought, why did I get out of the car? And now I'm standing in front of the craft, and I'm just thinking to myself, this is nuts. None of it makes any sense. So as I'm standing there looking at the craft, I noticed this amazing, beautiful blue light running down the center of it. And back in 1979, we didn't have, that type of thing, so I had nothing to compare it to. And the craft was about 42 feet long. I did go back later and measure this. And I was standing, like I said, just under 200 feet away in the center of the road because I got out and was standing in the front of my car staring at this thing. And the craft made no noise at all. And it was communicating with me somehow, but it had that blue-white light moving along the center of the rim, and it was mesmerizing. I don't know how long I stood there, but I kept saying over and over to myself, God, you've got to be kidding me. How in the world can this be real? And so like I said, I don't know how long I stood there, but I was really having issues with what I was seeing. And I didn't see any other cars coming. There was no trees on any of the, no leaves on any of the trees that were shaking or anything. I couldn't hear crickets. I couldn't hear cars going by or nothing, not cats or dogs. And I'm just standing there all by myself. It felt like I was in another world. And, I stood there for quite a while. And then all of a sudden, shockingly, this huge blue light to the right of me came on. And here I am standing at the craft in front of me. And all of a sudden, this huge blue light, the same kind of light that was on the craft, is to the right of me. And as I looked at it, there was this tall white extraterrestrial standing there. And this is a depiction of that light, which appeared off the ship. And it was very close to me, much closer than the ship was. It was between me and the ship. And this ET moved towards me, causing me to experience missing time. Now, I didn't know that I was experiencing missing time because I had never had missing time. I didn't even know there was missing time. So I didn't know what was happening to me, but something odd had happened right then and there. And I just felt like I was someplace else. And, even though I knew I was right here, and it just freaked me out so much. I looked down, and when I looked down, I realized I'm not standing on the street anymore. Somehow or other, I've been lifted up. My feet are like a good 2 feet away from the pavement. And I noticed that my feet, I had my sandals on, and I'm looking down, and I'm like, how am I standing here? And so again, now I'm trying to wrap my mind around that. I wasn't falling back and forth. I was steady, but I was off the earth. I was off the ground. And no sooner did all of those thoughts come quickly to me than I found myself floating towards this extraterrestrial. And I looked at his face and I thought, oh God, no. Oh God, no. I am not looking at him. He is beyond ugly. That thing is ridiculous looking. And I didn't think that, I would get that close to it. And there wasn't anywhere I could run. I mean, I was floating. And so as I got closer to him, I actually was looking away, and I had my eyes closed because I didn't want to see his face. And he was so very close right now. He was like right off my left shoulder as I was going that way. And I kept looking away, but something happened, and it was like I was put into some kind of a sleep. I don't remember anything beyond that point other than, and I don't know how long time had gone on. I mean, I had lost all, understanding of time at this point. And through regression therapy, 33 years later, I was able to recount the abduction that happened to me while I was on that craft. And I can't say enough about regression therapy, as long as you have somebody that you can really trust who won't mislead you. I had somebody really wonderful, and it helped me so much. But as I came to, and I only came to for a very short time, I found myself in this pure white room. And the room was really amazing. The walls had light, the floors had light, everything in the room had light. But it wasn't a bright, bright light. It was a soft, dim, really wonderful. It was pretty calming white light, actually. And even the table I was laying on had some form of a white light to it. And I lifted myself up. And when I did, I noticed there was these 2 smaller extraterrestrials near my feet. And that freaked me out. And I didn't scream, which I don't know why, but I didn't. But I had never seen anything like that before. And so as I was looking at them, I noticed that to my right, standing right above me, was this tall white that I didn't want to see earlier. And I still didn't want to look at him. I couldn't make out any mouth. I couldn't make out any ears. I saw these large eyes, and his head was just huge. And he's very lanky, thin, long arms, and a very thin neck, very thin. And I just thought, oh my God, what is that? And I had no idea. I was saying to myself, this has got to be what extraterrestrials are. But all of he said to me, we are not going to take you, and we are not going to hurt you. And he said it in a male voice, and it was in English. People always ask me, was it in some kind of clicking or something like that? But no, it wasn't. And I was just, beyond blown away by that. And I thought to myself, take me where? Where would you take me? So, it was just all very surreal. And so the next thing I do remember, because right after he spoke to me, I went out again. And I don't know how long I was in that craft, but all of a sudden I was standing in front of my Honda Civic again. And I didn't see that bright blue light anymore, but I could still see the craft that was hovered over the railroad tracks. So in fact, there were two crafts there, the one I was staring at and the one that was over to the right. And that was the one that had the illuminated extraterrestrials in it. And so the tall whites, reason I say illuminated is because you could literally almost see right straight through them in that white room. And it was just very ugly, very ugly. And so now I'm standing in front of this other craft, still hovered over the railroad tracks, and I'm like this different person all of a sudden. I'm saying to the craft, please don't leave me here. Whatever you do, please don't leave me here. Take me with you. And how stupid is that? Why would you say something like that? And I even did a double take with myself. I said, what are you saying? Why are you saying that? And it really freaked me out that I was hearing my own voice begging this craft to take me. And I said it again, please, please don't leave me. And again, I said, what are you saying? And it didn't make any sense to me, but I was pleading at this point for them to take me with them. And for some reason, I was getting that I wasn't going to go. And I actually said this out loud to that craft. Aren't I good enough? What's wrong with me that you don't want me? What's wrong with me that you won't take me? And I just find that so bizarre. I don't know why I said that. And I did that again. I did a double take, like, what are you saying? Good enough for what, extraterrestrials? And it was mind-boggling. Okay. Still to this day, I don't know why I said that. And so while I'm standing there looking at it, all of a sudden this thing does a vertical flip. And I couldn't believe it. It did it so fast. It happened like between a blink. I don't know how it did that, but it did. The craft just instantly flipped 90 degrees, and it remained that way for several minutes. And I thought to myself, okay, everything that's happened to me tonight is more than bizarre, but that was really creepy. I mean, all of a sudden it just flips. I don't hear anything. There's no wind, nothing. And I just felt like we were standing in the middle of the road in a bubble. And again, there were no cars. There was nothing. So I'm just watching this again. And I'm thinking to myself, please, please don't leave me. And now that was commonplace. I had given up questioning myself. And I'm just begging them not to leave me. And standing there, and again, I don't know how long I stood there while it was in the 90-degree, flip, but all of a sudden it shot up into the night sky and it stopped. And this was a pewter color, kind of silvery, and it was so beautiful. That craft was so beautiful. And there it was. And now I'm almost crying. I'm just besides myself that I'm being left here. And I just kept saying, please, I just don't want to stay. Please take me. And I've got two little babies at home that I love. Okay. And that it's never going to make sense. But it then shot up into the sky, like I said, and it came to that complete stop. And if that wasn't enough, within moments, I saw this fireball exit from the bottom of that craft. And I thought to myself, oh, maybe they're going to take me, or I don't know, what am I going to get burned? I could hear the fire in that ball. I could hear the crackling and this like humming, this vibration that was happening in that fireball. And I didn't know what to think of that, because all of a sudden it just emerged from the bottom of the craft. And I thought, God, this is beyond, just beyond, what do you do with this? And so I don't know how long I stood there looking at that, but again, I was still asking them to take me. And so within moments after, I was standing there, it seemed like they both just shot off. Same exact moment in complete unison. They shot off so fast, I don't even really remember seeing them go. It was just like, and they were gone, and they headed out west towards the Gulf of Mexico. And now I'm standing in the middle of the road in front of my car, all by myself, shaking my head. Literally, I had my hands on my head as I kept walking in circles in the middle of the road. And I thought to myself, okay, what is it, like 2:30 now? I got home I got here about 2:15 or something. And, I left there about 2, and well, it's about 2:30. So it's not that late. I thought, you know, I got to go talk to somebody. I got to go talk to somebody that I know and that I love. And I thought, I got to go see my mother right now. This is ridiculous. What just happened to me? And so I was completely feeling abandoned. And so I got back in the car. Now, my mother lived literally 2 minutes from me. And so I drove to her house, and, I get up to the door and I'm knocking on the door, and obviously they're sound asleep, and a couple lights come on, and her husband comes to the door and says, "Terry, what are you doing here at this hour?" And I said, "Oh, Marty, you know, I think he said, what are you doing here so early in the morning?" And I thought, early in the morning, it's late at night. What's wrong with him? He's so tired he doesn't know what time it is. It's nighttime still. It's not daytime, and the way he was questioning me, I was like, just get my mom. I need to talk to my mom. This was my stepfather. So my mom, I see her coming down the hall, putting her robe on and tying her belt and all. And I said, Mom, I need to talk to you. And so she said, okay, come on in. And I said, I don't know what happened to me tonight. And she said, well, Terry, do you know what time it is? And I said, yeah, what, 2:30? And she said, Terry, it's 4:00 in the morning. And I'm like, what? No, it isn't. And I just couldn't believe that. I could not believe that. And of course, I'd never heard of missing time, so I didn't know what missing time was. So I said to her, please, just put on some coffee. I need to talk to you. I've got to tell you what happened to me tonight. And she's looking at me, and she's, acting like she doesn't know, exactly, what the heck? And so she says, okay. So she puts the coffee on, gets a couple cups, comes over and sits down. And the whole time I'm just shaking, rubbing my hands, and I'm thinking, how am I going to start to tell her about this? And so I just sit down and I start telling her everything that had just happened to me. And I thought, this is so bizarre, Mom, and I told her the whole story as it went down verbatim, how I was crying for them to take me. And she's just staring at me the whole time. And I thought, oh boy, this isn't good. I was working at Honeywell Aerospace, and, my mom had said, it's okay, Terry. I've seen them too. And I thought, and she said to me, whatever you do, don't tell anyone. You will never get your job back at Honeywell if this gets out. And she said, I've seen them too. I don't talk about it. And I said, okay, I won't. And so I was Honeywell, my mom worked there, my sister and myself, and they have layoffs, and, they lay you off after like the Minuteman or the Gemini Project or something, and then they bring you back. And so I was hoping to go back to work there. And my mom just kept telling me, keep this a secret, don't talk about it. And when she said she had seen them too, I got so mad at her. I actually jumped up and said, what? Why haven't you told me this before? Why haven't you ever mentioned this before? I'm 27 years old, Mom. How in the world? Why wouldn't you have told me this by now? And why didn't you prepare me for this? And, she didn't really have much to say about that. She wasn't acting like she was upset with me. I think she completely understood how bizarre this all was for me to hear all in one night, and especially that she was identifying with me that this had happened to her as well. And I had also found out later, after sharing this with one of my older brothers who was in the Air Force, that he had also seen extraterrestrials and the ships. And so I started putting it all together. There's this link here between all of us. And then my younger son eventually had a huge experience with me, actually, in 2012. That's another story. But it's like they just keep coming into our lives. And I've had many visitations at this point, but that was my very first experience. And I never did talk about it until literally 29 years later when I reported it to MUFON. I was sitting at home in 2008. I was sitting on a couch. I was reading a magazine, Town and Country, actually. And as I'm flipping through this magazine, I hear this voice, very clearly male, say to me, "Get up, go to your computer, report your sighting." And I'm like, that was 29 years earlier. But just like that, I knew exactly what that was saying to me. So I got up and I went to my computer and I typed in report a UFO, and up came MUFON. And that's how I got involved with MUFON. And so here we are all these years later. We're in 2020 now. And I came to MUFON to find out about what happened to me. And thank God there's such a great network of folks here that can help you and guide you through what happened to you if you've had an experience. A lot of people say they haven't and they'd like to, and I believe eventually we all will. Seems to be the way of disclosure anymore. So I just wanted to share that much of this with you. There's so much more of that to share, but that will be for another time. So I do have a lot of things that I've written down because of all my different experiences over the years that I wanted to have for my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, so they would know that extraterrestrials are a part of what is happening in our world today. They're not bizarre and strange. They're just from another planet, and they have the technology to get to us. We might not necessarily have the technology to get to them, but they are coming, and they have been. And so you can log on to terryling.com. I have many stories of what has happened to me there. Those are my personal experiences. So at this point, I would like to talk to you all about the roundtable discussion. And I don't know exactly, let's see. So do you or can MUFON work with NASA? That was a question that came up. Do you or can MUFON work with NASA? Well, as far as working with NASA, NASA is NASA and MUFON is MUFON. We really all don't do exactly the same thing. So probably not. But we work together in other ways because it all kind of gels and comes together. We're all doing a different thing, but very much the same kind of thing. But no, we're not joining NASA, and NASA won't join MUFON. So I hope that answered your question. Did you have other questions? Oh, there was a poll that was taken. Okay. And I don't know. Let's see the poll. I have to wait for my information to come in. We're going through all the different questions on our sidebar there in the chat. Have you seen a UFO? That was the question. Mm-hmm. And how many people have seen a UFO?
They're still answering.
They're what?
They're all still answering.
They're answering. Okay.
60%.
60% of our 350 people have seen a UFO. Wow. That's amazing. So yeah, I think they're doing disclosure one-on-one. That seems to be what's happening. People are always saying, well, what about the government and exposure? Well, I don't know about the government and exposure. I'm not a part of the government. So will they eventually do it? I don't know. I'm hoping. There's been some talk. I've seen some things on Twitter and on Facebook, but and MeWe, but not sure. So we're waiting for that. But personally, I feel that we all know already. And I feel like we're so far beyond just UFOs. Our focus now is more on who's in the UFO. Who are the intelligent forces behind what's happening that we've been seeing since the 1900s and have been in pictures for years and years. And they've been on the walls and the hieroglyphs and so many different things everywhere, all over the world. How much disclosure do we need, maybe? I know we would like to have it from our government, but lots going on there. I'm going to stay away from that. Okay. So some of our other questions. I'm sorry. Oh, another poll. Okay. All right. Have you ever had an experience with an ET? That's something else that is happening more and more and more. And I believe more of you have had those experiences than you even realize, because a lot of times they don't let you know. There's so much that they have the ability to keep from you. And I don't want that to scare you, because not all of the interactions with extraterrestrials are frightening. I can honestly tell you, of all the different experiences I have had, they've all been positive, other than getting left behind. I guess that wasn't great. But at the time, I'm very grateful now that I wasn't taken. I don't know where I would have been taken, but it's always very life-changing to be in the presence of extraterrestrials.
80% said no, 20% yes.
90 said no.
20 said yes, 80 said no.
Oh, 20% said no.
20% said yes.
Oh, 20% said yes. He's so far away from me here in the studio, so I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Do you feel you were harmed during your incidents? Oh, it was 20% yes, 80% no. I guess that was a no-brainer, right? Well, do I feel that I was ever harmed during any of my incidents? I think they did something to me at one of them, which they came back and repaired on me in 2012, actually. That's something that I'm writing in a book that I've written on the small version of this book, which is An Alien Healing, which is on Amazon.com. I'm seeing so much a bigger picture of it. And initially I was harmed, but I don't believe that it was something that was meant to happen. And so I think that's why I was healed in 2012. And other than that, no, nothing that I could ever see. I did have something fall out of my ear that fell on a table one time and just made a huge clink, and then it bounced off and went into the carpet, and we never could find it. But I don't think that harmed me. It was just odd. These kinds of things are hard to live with. But I know a lot of other people do say that they are harmed, but other than what happened to me, and I think a lot of it that was brought on with them coming to me as often as they were, I was so anxious, I was so freaked out, and I couldn't wrap my mind around it. The truth is, I've always been such a strong Christian soul, and so for me to think that extraterrestrials were real and alive, this was really frustrating for me, and I didn't want to accept it. So I think that's maybe one of the reasons that I had so much trouble, and I was harmed because I pretty much harmed myself and needed a subtotal colectomy because of what it did to me with Crohn's and colitis, and just being always in such a state of fear about that. What did your mother tell you about her sighting? Well, she was short but real sweet because she was freaking me out. She told me that she was on her houseboat, and her husband were on the top, on the upper deck, and they did this all the time. They were always out there for 3 months at a time. And she said one night, as they were just sitting there, this huge cigar-shaped, actually, greenish colored, she said it had like a green hue to it, came straight up out of the water in the Gulf of Mexico and hovered in the sky right above them, like not just over their boat, but way up high, but over above them. And they were both staring at it, and they said they couldn't even speak. They just were looking at it, and all of a sudden it just took off. It took off so fast. They saw this streak of this green, and it was gone. But she said what was really bizarre was as they were looking at the water in the moonlight, and it shot right out, she said that it hardly made a ripple. It just came up, and it scared the heck out of them. Often they said they would see different fish coming up and things like that. So they thought that was bizarre, that it didn't hardly even make a ripple, and that it stopped when it got up really high and kind of observed them, I think, and then took off. So that was her sighting story that she shared with me that night. And she really didn't like to talk about it because, like I said, she was in upper management with Honeywell Aerospace. And she was always afraid that if anything ever got out, she might lose her job. So that was that.
We're going to try and turn it up now so they can ask questions.
Oh, okay. So now the questions will come through. Okay.
Ask them to unmute.
You can unmute if you're going to ask a question, I'm being told. Will I be able to hear them?
Should be able to.
Okay. So just give me your name and then ask your question.
Nothing?
No, these have kind of gone. You love technology when it works.
Nobody wants to ask a question. Do you feel they will return to you?
Okay. Do I feel that they will return to me? Now, I can't hear myself too much in here. Can they hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I do feel that they will, and they have. It's been pretty consistent over the last 33 years. I've had different things happen. Not this. It isn't even really the same. It's not a tall white always. I've had, and of course on terryling.com you can read. I've had the reptilians. I've had a couple different types of reptilian, and I think that there is a relationship that happens with contactees that have family involvement the way I do. And yes, they do come back. And I never know when, when you least expect it. I can go a year, 2 years, and then all of a sudden have two things happen in the same month in a year, which is exactly what happened. And another member that I was with of my family then also experienced that same extraterrestrial coming at us. And what was interesting about that was I knew they were coming. I could actually feel them. I looked at something and I knew the lights were not just lights on an airplane. I knew immediately upon seeing those lights, this was an extraterrestrial experience that was getting ready to unfold. And I said to my son, humor me here, just keep your eyes on those lights. And that's another story, I'll share it another time with you. It's a very powerful story. I can hear people talking, but it sounds like they're really far away. I can hear you asking your question, but it's like they're okay. Okay, just go ahead and put your questions in chat that I could answer for you, because then Kevin can relate that back to me. Something's going on with our technology at the moment, and I can hear you, but not clearly. I can't make out what you're saying. Is what?
Alti?
Okay. Well, we do. Do we collaborate with To the Stars Academy and Tom DeLonge? we're all in the same boat, so to speak. And sure, we talk with everybody, and I can't really say too much about that. But yeah, we've talked with them on quite a few occasions. Thanks for asking that. I think that was Aldi that asked that.
Someone said talk more about MUFON.
The what?
More about MUFON. They said talk more about MUFON.
Talk more about MUFON? Okay. Well, specifically, I wouldn't know what you are looking for about talking about MUFON, but hopefully you'll join us. And, I mentioned earlier, your life will really never be the same. And I mean that, because when you start reaching out and helping others who have had experiences, people like me that, just report their UFO experience, somebody has to, reach out to you and do the hard work of figuring out what happened and why. And I was, really happy. I was actually elated to have somebody that would talk to me and didn't think I was crazy, because, let's face it, that's pretty crazy stuff that you have to live through. And it's difficult to wrap your mind around it. I was 27 years old and it just didn't make any sense to me. And I just didn't believe in it. And most people who have experiences initially don't believe in extraterrestrials. So MUFON is the best thing that happened to ufology ever, because there's camaraderie here, there's friendships. It becomes like a family where you can talk about this stuff, the strange things that happen in your life. And look, strange things happen all the time in our lives. And now we can deal with it. Somebody is here for you with a listening ear, and, they're soft-spoken. They're not judging you. They're open to help you. So I can't say enough about MUFON, really.
I
Still hear
agree.
people talking
I
about
finally
it,
got a microphone.
but can't make out your words.
Can you hear me? I can hear me.
Oh, yeah. I hear you.
I just wanted to know.
Okay, can you unmute? I'm hearing you, but can you unmute? It's like
I'm
I'm hearing you.
unmuted now. So
We'll
I'm
work on
live.
this technology and get this fine-tuned for our next meeting, which is coming up here shortly, next month. So how much time do we have?
30 minutes.
Okay. We still have some good time. So
Can you share any further information about the initiative that Dave McDonald shared in a recent email regarding the creation of a worldwide UFO reporting database?
wow, that's huge. No, I can't on that one. I'm not free to share some things. Being a part of the board, I know a lot of people always ask me, well, tell me, but actually I cannot. So if something is in the journal, then it's, it's been cleared, and it's not like it's private or anything like that, but there are some things that we can talk about and other things we're in negotiations about, and we just don't make everything public until we make it public.
Terry, this is Shelley. You know who I am?
Do you hear her?
Shelley Goodman.
I can almost hear her, but no, I don't know why.
Okay, I'm the MUFON columnist.
Is there something wrong with my mic, or is a battery gone or something?
Can you hear me? I'm the MUFON columnist.
Is that Shelley I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay, I can kind of hear you, but can you put it in the chat, Shelley? So
I did already. I'm the MUFON columnist.
Oh, you're a MUFON columnist. Hi.
Yes, I write up all the cases of interest every month.
I can't hear her. Can I take these out then so I can hear?
Yeah.
Here's one of the cases of interest.
Okay, hold on. Let me take these out because I can't hear.
Okay, I also do paintings.
Oh. Can those reach over to me? Oh, no.
You see the
I can't
painting?
hear honey from here. Oh, Shelley, I am so sorry. We will get this. We will get is
Give me 1 second.
okay. My husband's going to try to work on getting something connected with something else to the speaker that he has is way on the other side of the studio. So he's pretty far from me and the battery died. So that made it almost impossible for me to hear. I'm sorry about that. Like I said, technology is wonderful when it works. Ay, ay, ay. What next, huh? But hang in there. He's trying to get something to, can you hear, Susan, what they're saying? Or what is her question?
I can't now. If you would repeat that question one more time.
Shelley, can you repeat that question?
It wasn't a question. I was just announcing that I do the cases of interest for MUFON.
Oh.
Oh,
You do the cases of interest for MUFON. Okay.
And I'm a field investigator and I do paintings of UFOs.
Wonderful. Oh, field investigator. And she does painting.
And this is a case. Someone saw this.
And this is a case.
Oh, and she has a case that somebody saw and she does the paintings for those. Oh, how wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Sure.
Oh, how I wish I could see you all. You know, I'm not able to see anybody. I'm just looking at a camera. But I guess you guys can see me. I can't see you. And unfortunately, I can't hear you tonight. So we're working on that. Yeah, every month it'll get better because we'll
see me in the journal.
All these different things.
It's me in the journal.
Oh, are there any other questions out there? Because I do have Susan who can hear you better than I can. She's on the other side.
Can you please tell us a little about data analysis of the reported data of 150,000 cases?
Well, I wouldn't have the data on 150,000 cases in front of me.
What models are used? What technologies do members have access to additional reports and models?
Okay, if you go on the MUFON website, what is available to the public is all that I have. Now, if there's something specific about a case that you want to know about, you can always contact the person that was doing your case in your state and find out additional information. I think that's what I'm understanding that you're asking. If you want additional information about other cases, you can always write to or send an email to Marquetta, and she can get that to whoever would oversee those cases. Maybe it would be Ken St. John, maybe it would be Doug Wilson or someone, or even myself. Send it to me and I'll take a look at it. I mean, I'd like to get out as much information as we can, but most everything is on the website and can be accessed on the website.
Were you able to see the legs, knees, and feet of the tall white ET?
Was I able to see the legs, knees, or feet? I did see the entire ET. However, I glanced at him and he was so ugly and so bizarre looking to me. I didn't want to look into his eyes. And although I did see it like in a flash, I looked away from him and I kept looking down. And it was when I looked down that I saw that I wasn't even on the pavement anymore. He was very, very thin and his arms seemed a little longer than what normal arms should be. As I remember looking at him, it was just a feeling, I really didn't want to be around this guy, but I couldn't move. I couldn't get away from him. So he was very ugly, very unhuman looking, very other than we are. His skin was almost like this clear kind of a light white. And because his his neck was so thin. This is what was really gross about him. His head was so big that it just didn't seem like that neck could support that head. And his hands were very weird looking. It didn't appear to be, it was just nasty. And I kept looking away. And even though he was intently looking at me, and I knew he was looking at me through peripheral vision, I did not want to look into his face. So the best look of him I got was when I came to in that other craft, and I looked up and he was right there, and I was like, oh my God. And I didn't see a mouth, I didn't see a nose, I didn't see ears or anything. Actually, all I saw was his eyes. So when he started talking to me and, you know, told me that he wasn't going to hurt me and he wasn't going to take me, you know, I'm like, how did he say that? How did he say that? Well, mental telepathy, obviously, but at the time, I wasn't focused on mental telepathy, and it just freaked me out. And I don't know if I fainted or what happened, but looking at him was very, very difficult. And like I mentioned, he was so light, white-ish, that the blue light that was there was almost coming right straight through him. And it almost turned him a whitish blue, which was really pretty crazy. So I didn't get a good look at his feet, a good look at his knees. I got a overall look as I looked at him and looked away right away. Okay, is this back up and running? Okay.
Would
Well,
you
if
look
you don't
into his
mind,
eyes?
I'll put it on this way and see if this
Anyone
will.
wants to unmute and ask a question?
Would you
Oh,
look
okay.
into his eyes now?
Let me see if this will help.
Would you look into the eyes now?
I did. Hi. I can finally hear somebody. I did look into his eyes. There was no mouth.
But I mean, now, would you look into his eyes for a long time now?
I looked into his eyes for a short time, not
No, I
very
mean,
long.
if he comes now, would you look into his eyes for a long time?
If he came now, would I look into his eyes?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I have no
Okay.
fear of him. I have no fear at all of him. As a matter of fact, remember in the room with him wherever that was in that craft that I was on, I did seem to have a little bit of fear being there with him. But once I got back in front of that car and I was looking at the other craft, I mean, I was begging them to take me. So whatever happened between being in that room and coming back in front of my Honda, and obviously 2 hours had passed, I had no clue that much time had gone by. It seemed to me like it was just moments. I thought maybe it was 15 minutes at the max. So whatever happened, they won me over somehow. Go figure. I don't know. Wow. It's a real strange noise there.
Kevin, do you think they had put a kind of chip inside your body or not?
Okay, say that again.
A kind of chip. Sometimes I heard about the aliens put a chip inside the body in order to get information or localization, things like that. Do you think it's possible they insert a chip inside the body?
Did they stick a chip in you?
Did they stick a chip in me? Well, remember, I did say, this is what is very strange. I was having dinner with Kevin and a bunch of people from MUFON, and I was sitting at a table, and something in my ear was like vibrating, and all of a sudden this chip or whatever it was, I'm assuming it had to have been a chip, fell out and hit the table, and it dinged the table like, I mean, literally, it was hard. It sounded like a BB falling, and it fell right out of my ear, and I clearly felt it, and it bounced and it took off, and Kevin actually heard it hit the table, and we were both absolutely shocked because we were sitting there talking to friends at the table, and you know, it's like, I don't know, maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and so I'm thinking that could have been some type of a chip. So did they put it in then? I don't know. I've had many different experiences. I don't know when that came in, but I know when it came out.
Thank you.
Yeah. sometimes it's just real loud to hear the
Too
noise.
loud?
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yes, could I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Yes, why do you feel you were chosen?
Well, that's a very good question. I don't know why I was chosen, other than I believe that my mother was chosen before me, and I believe that I'm a part of that process. And then because of me being chosen, my son was chosen. So I'm thinking, and I have heard this from many people, ERT and different ones over the years that I've talked to in ufology, that if extraterrestrials come in your family, they seem to stay within your family and study your family throughout your lifetimes. Now, my mother has passed away, and my older brother has passed away, who also had extraterrestrials. This happened to him in Miami, Florida. And my mother lived in St. Petersburg, Florida with me, and my son lived with me in St. Petersburg, and he had his experiences in St. Petersburg. So my best guess would be that they're studying our family and on our genetics. And other than that, I really don't know. I don't think there's anything special about me at all.
You know when it started?
Yes, it started when I was about 5 years old.
No. When it started in your family.
Oh, when it started in my family. Well, we don't know if anybody before my mom had been, visited. So my mother, who was born in 1925, said that she did have, and she never would be specific with me about this because she didn't want to discuss this. Being a manager with Honeywell, she just didn't want anything getting out ever. And, if you don't know, you don't say. So she had only told me very briefly that she had something happen to her when she was younger, about 20 years old. And she just completely shut that out of her life. And then again, when she was married with her husband on their houseboat, she had that second incident that she shared with me. And she didn't want to talk about it. And at the time, I really wasn't pressing her. I never really did press her. But I told her every time something happened to me. Now I wish I would have pressed her a little more. Thank you for asking, and thank you for coming tonight, all of you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions
Or suggestions about what to talk about?
or
next meeting?
suggestions about what you want to hear or see next time?
Ms. Kale, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Mark Monahan,
Hi, Mark.
Charleston, South Carolina. Thank you. Now that the government has admitted that UFOs exist, earlier this year here, Carlson, the Navy YouTube videos. When do you think the government will admit that they're actually off-world craft and driven by aliens, opposed to technology that might be from here?
Well, it's really cracking up again. That's a good question. I'm going to have to take this down because it's making a lot of noise. I do think the government eventually will have to say something. And I did see on Twitter and on Facebook that President Trump has said that he would look into it. He's very serious about looking into it. So I'm hoping that something will come from that. I really don't know. I have no idea when exactly that's going to happen. But like I said before as well, we already really know. We know what's going on. This is really making some strange noises. Okay, can you hear again? I'm having this make a lot of crackling noises. Maybe I have.
We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
When we talk, I'll turn it up.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
I hope I answered your question, but I really don't know what's going on with our government. We're not working with the government. I know a lot of people have said that they thought we are, but guaranteed we're not.
There was another good question
Uh-huh.
that was asked in your questions that I was watching. And
Uh-huh.
it was about how do you reconcile Christianity or religious beliefs along with the actual idea that aliens exist. I know that's a huge question
Yeah.
and could be its own, hour and a half talk. But with everything that's happening, that's going to be a big issue for a lot of people.
It is going to be a big issue for, I have to take this down. It is going to be a big issue for a lot of people. Religion and extraterrestrials. Being that, like I said earlier, I was a very strong Christian when this happened to me. I was in the worship team at church. I was teaching the children. I had been doing that for like 5 or 6 years. I was also working in with the pastor in demonology and different things like that, and going with him as when he would go out to visit homes and things like that. So I was very involved and in Christianity, and that never changed my mind about anything. And of course, that's my experience, not everybody's, but I saw a much bigger picture of God. And I remember when I was first coming up to that ship in 1979 that was hovered over the railroad tracks, the first words out of my mouth were, God, are you kidding me? Why am I seeing this? Why me? I don't want to see this, show this to somebody else that believes this stuff. I had a lot of things going through my mind at that time. And that was a conversation I had. And again, I said to God, well, nothing can happen to me that you don't allow, because that happens to be my belief system. And so he allowed me to see that. And then I thought to myself, okay, well, if you allowed me to see this, there's got to be a reason for it. You obviously want somebody to know, and my personality will probably keep digging until I get answers. I don't know. Was that what he was thinking? But I did keep digging until I got answers, and it never changed how I looked at Christianity. It deepened my faith, as a matter of fact, and it gave me a whole new vista of understanding with God, that he not only created all of us, he created us in his image, body, soul, and spirit, but he created them not in his image. They're just like the fish and the horses. They're not in our image, but he created them. And so he also created these off-world beings. He created those worlds. He said he created everything that was ever created. And I happen to believe that. So if people struggle with it, I can so understand that. But that's not my cross to bear. I'm on my journey here, just like you're on your journey. Everybody's on their journey. And I'm at peace. It is literally well with my soul how I look at all of this. And I'm actually very happy to talk with anybody anytime if they're struggling in their faith, or they think that, I've heard people say, oh, they're demons. No, they're not. Demons don't need ships to get here. They're not demons. Demons just come. These are extraterrestrials. These are off-world beings, and they come in ships. They don't just pop in. They're not from the spiritual realm. They're from the extraterrestrial realm, and they're from other planets and other I'm at a loss for words. They're just coming from other places. I don't want to name names or say where. People say they're this or they're that. I don't really know where they're coming from. They've never shook my hand and said, hey, here's my name and this is where I'm from, like you did. I don't know where they're all from. I do know there's a lot of different ones, and there's quite a few. Some people say as many as 70, and some others say as many as 128. Well, I've probably had 7 different types in my life, and I wrote about those in terryling.com. So I hope I answered that question for you. Keep an open mind. I happen to believe that God is who he says he is. Doesn't bother me.
So I asked them to come visit me, but I've never had them visit me.
Could you have them visit you?
I asked them whenever my husband's gone, And the only thing I've seen is like little teeny fingerprints on my mirror.
Mhm.
But I've never seen.
That sounds more spiritual than extraterrestrial. Oops. But yeah, usually an extraterrestrial experience is going to happen, and you'll see them. I've never had experiences personally where I see things like that, but that could be a spiritual issue, maybe not an extraterrestrial issue.
Yeah, because the other spiritual things I've seen, I have a camera in my backyard, infrared. I've seen orbs come by for several years.
Yeah,
Orbs.
that's definitely not extraterrestrial.
No, that's a spirit.
Yeah,
That's spirit. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Ex-boyfriend my ex-boyfriend who died. only comes by when my husband is gone. Never comes by when my husband is here.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. TMI. Well, let's keep this conversation on UFOs and extraterrestrials. Thank you for sharing that, though.
I've had my first visitation back in ¡51,
Uh-huh.
and that's and I've had them ever since. It's just like a dream.
Experience, you mean?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Great.
I haven't opened up completely.
Have they been positive experiences, I hope?
Yes.
Good. Good.
They're, well, I'm
Terry,
wanting to see them some more.
Well, that I have no control over. That's all them and not me. But good luck with that. I hope they do come back.
Hi, Terry.
Hi.
Hi, it's Jen from the UK. You okay?
Hi. The
Just wanna
UK.
say-
Oh, that's
Yes,
amazing.
thank you. I just want to say thank you for your presentation. It was amazing. And I wanted to ask, do you think that they were the Greys aliens who abducted you?
No, I think it was the tall white who did the abduction because he came out of the ship and got me and somehow levitated me off of the, roadway and brought me into the ship. Now, in the actual ship, I do believe those were Greys. They fit every description that I've ever heard of Greys because, here's the thing. I mean, it's not like they introduced themselves and said, hi, we're Greys. You know what I mean? That isn't how that happens. So when you do have these experiences with extraterrestrials, you're assuming a lot, but they did meet all the criteria that other people had shared with me. They looked like small Greys. They were tiny. They only came up to just above the bottom of the table. So they weren't tall. The tall white was very tall. I would say 7 feet tall. He was at least 7 feet tall. And they were dark gray. They didn't have any clothes on or anything like that. They did have bigger heads, shorter necks. And again, I was laying back and I simply came up and looked down and was like, oh my God, and then after I made that quick momentary, what do you call that, look at them, I noticed him moving to my right. So, that's why I then looked over to him and that's when he spoke to me. So I didn't focus on them, but I do believe 100% that those were Greys.
Right. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. So nice to talk to the UK.
Hi, Charlie from Australia.
Oh, hi, Australia. That's amazing.
I've come to some concern about Bigelow Aerospace and their relationship with DARPA and Black Projects, and the fact that they actually had American military personnel and civilian military personnel reporting sightings directly to them.
Mm-hmm.
And Bigelow's coming out with Bigelow Aerospace and actively looking for wreckage and such things. Does MUFON have any? I know MUFON did have a relationship with Bigelow before it was Bigelow Aerospace, but does MUFON know anything about what Bigelow's planning?
Well, only what we've read, like you. We don't have a relationship with Bigelow Aerospace at all. We did at one time, and that was actually before I was even involved with MUFON. So there's really not much that I know personally. And I don't like to talk about things unless I personally know what I'm talking about. So I do know that there was a riff, things weren't handled properly somehow, and he pulled away. So that's all I know. And I can't elaborate on anything more than that because it's all hearsay. And we are not currently involved with him.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to be involved with him actually, but we're not.
Thanks for that.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, go ahead. There's too many people talking, I think. I can't make it out. I'm so sorry, I can't make it out.
We have time for one more.
Do we have time for one more? Okay. I'm going to take one more. So if anybody else wants to unmute and try to, I hope I can hear you. We will work this out. Trust me. We'll have this changed for the next meeting.
Hey, Terry, this is Chris France. Thank you so much for hosting this for us. It's really appreciated and really interesting. I have a question for you, a detail item about your experience that you've described for us. You described the sensation and the fact that you were floating toward the alien.
Right.
Do you believe now, looking at this in retrospect, that that was literally a physical floating? Or something more like a consciousness-based floating, kind of like an out-of-body experience?
Yeah, Chris, actually, I was 100% off the earth. And it was a full body experience. I was there. I was previously standing on the pavement in front of my car. And then I don't know at what point he picked me up, but he did actually elevate me. And I was being drawn towards him. I had absolutely, at that point, no way to get away from him. There was no way to get away from him. I couldn't move my own legs. I was in a moving forward position and I was going right past him and I didn't want to look at him. He was incredibly ugly and creepy to me. And I didn't even want to believe in what was happening in the experience. So my entire body, it was not I've had out of body experiences. And this where I've actually looked back and seen my body in bed and then I've gone out. So I do know the difference between out of body and having an actual experience. I was wide awake. I had been driving a car. The car shut off. I mean, it was tangibly there. I could put my hand on the car. So this was a real experience.
Wow. Okay. That's fascinating. Thank you very much.
It was fascinating. I got to tell you. Thank you for asking. Is that all we have time for?
Hi, Terry.
Go ahead. Okay.
This is Aditi. Just
Hi.
one last question for you. I was just wondering if there are any paid jobs at MUFON.
Paid jobs.
Data analysis, especially.
And in what especially? I'm sorry?
Data analysis.
Well, we are always looking for scientific people, and that you would have to send your resume to MUFON.com and attention David McDonald. He's our executive director. And there are very, very few pay positions. We're a 501c3 corporation, and all of us, including myself, never get a cent. We are all out just doing education from passion. and from experiences that have really drawn us in. Many of us have had experiences. So there aren't very many pay positions, just the executive director and maybe one or two others, our office manager and things like that. But thank you for asking. That's a great question. I asked it when I first came too.
Thank you.
But excuse me? We'd love to have you become a field investigator.
Yes, definitely can start from there.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up tonight's meeting now. I don't want to keep you all too long. I want this to be fun, interesting, interactive. And I do want to be able to touch base with you guys again next month. And please send me suggestions to my email. And I'd love to hear from you. And I mean that. I'd love to get to know all of you. I really would. And hopefully you can make our symposium that's coming up or live stream it to you. But thank you again for coming tonight. Yes, that's right. Our email is unitedmufon@gmail.com for any of you that didn't get that earlier in the program. And we will have everything that we're going to do listed on that website, and that email. So you'll be able to, email me if you'd like to ask me questions. I'm always here for you guys. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm here. So thanks for coming, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much, and thank you.
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 Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you from Brazil.